openSUSE Tumbleweed. Let's put it through its paces.
openSUSE Tumbleweed runs every software update through an automated testing system before it reaches your computer. Hundreds of test cases against each candidate. If it fails, the snapshot is blocked. Users never see it. The default file system takes an automatic snapshot before every update. If something breaks, reboot, select the previous snapshot from a menu, and your system is back. In January 2025, a daily user on the official forums described 2024 as an absolute disaster. Kernel panics, driver issues, graphics bugs, virtualization regression, broken packages across the year. The testing pipeline is real. The testing pipeline is not a guarantee. In March 2026, a fresh installation failed to boot with security hardware enabled. In February 2026, the installer could not write a boot entry because the partition was full. The safety net exists. The safety net has limits. SUSE is one of the oldest Linux companies, founded in Nuremberg in 1992. It released its first Linux distribution in 1994 and has produced commercial enterprise Linux ever since. In 2005, SUSE open-sourced the distribution and the openSUSE community project was born. The relationship is cooperative but uneven. SUSE provides the infrastructure, the build service, the engineering knowledge, and significant sponsorship. The enterprise engineering discipline behind commercial Linux shapes how Tumbleweed snapshots are tested, even though Tumbleweed itself is not an enterprise product. openSUSE has its own governance, its own board, its own community decisions. But SUSE's direction can affect openSUSE in ways that openSUSE cannot reciprocate. In 2024, SUSE proposed removing its name from the openSUSE project. The community objected, the name stayed, the controversy was resolved, but the tension it exposed was not. Corporate-backed community projects always face questions about whose interests take precedence when they conflict. NixOS had the Anduril weapons contractor sponsorship. Arch has had no governance controversy at all. Tumbleweed's defining governance moment was about identity and autonomy rather than ethics or technical philosophy. Greg Kroah-Hartman proposed Tumbleweed in 2010 as a rolling release variant. The name references the plant that keeps moving. In 2014, Tumbleweed merged with the development branch and became the primary rolling distribution. By 2023, it was publishing tested snapshots several times per week. In 2024, Slowroll was introduced as a new option. The same packages as Tumbleweed, tested by the same pipeline, delivered monthly rather than several times per week. For users who found Tumbleweed's update pace exhausting but found the stable release too stale, Slowroll filled the gap without changing what Tumbleweed is. The openSUSE product line now covers 4 different approaches to Linux, all built from the same infrastructure. The rollback mechanism is the single most important reason to choose Tumbleweed over Arch for a rolling release desktop. When an Arch update breaks the bootloader, recovery means booting a separate drive, entering the broken system from outside, and rebuilding manually. When a Tumbleweed update breaks something, recovery means rebooting and selecting the previous snapshot from a menu. The difference in recovery time is 30 to 60 minutes against 2 minutes. The difference in knowledge required is significant against minimal. The snapshot system works because the default file system stores changes efficiently. Old and new states share data. The snapshots do not duplicate the entire drive. Before every package transaction, a snapshot is taken automatically. After the transaction, another snapshot is taken. Both are available from the boot menu. Your personal files are stored separately and persist across rollbacks, so rolling back the system does not lose your documents. The administration toolkit gives Tumbleweed an accessibility advantage that no other distribution in this comparison offers. A graphical interface for network configuration, firewall rules, user management, disk partitioning, and package management. Arch users configure everything manually through text files. NixOS users configure everything declaratively through the Nix language. Tumbleweed users can choose either the graphical tools or the command line. The default desktop is KDE Plasma, well-maintained and considered one of the best KDE experiences in Linux. But the openQA testing pipeline is where the real differentiation sits. No other rolling release distribution in the Linux ecosystem has an equivalent automated quality gate for its update stream. Each snapshot candidate is installed in virtual machines, boot tests run, the graphical environment is launched, network connections are tested, the installer is exercised. Hundreds of automated checks execute against each candidate before it is published to users. If a test fails, the snapshot is blocked. Engineers investigate and fix the problem before retesting. What the pipeline does not test is how fast things run. An 8% processor throughput regression on a high-end desktop went unnoticed for a month because the pipeline only checks that things work, not how well they perform. The 2024 disaster report is the strongest evidence that testing and rollback do not eliminate the cost of running a rolling release. The user documented kernel panics, driver failures, graphics library bugs, and a virtualization regression across an entire calendar year. Each of those issues was recoverable through the snapshot system. But recovering from a problem is not the same as never having the problem. A user who has to roll back their system every few weeks is not having the experience the testing pipeline was designed to deliver. The installation edge cases are a pattern rather than isolated incidents. A fresh installation failing to boot with security hardware, enabled in March 2026. The installer unable to write a boot entry because the partition was full in February 2026. A bootloader rescue prompt with missing files on a fresh installation in November 2025. The testing pipeline catches problems with running systems. It is less thorough at catching problems with the installation process on hardware configurations the test environment does not include. The package ecosystem is narrower than Arch's community repository. The build service extends availability significantly beyond the main collection, but it does not match 80,000 user-submitted packages. For mainstream software, Tumbleweed's coverage is excellent. For niche tools, specialized development libraries, and obscure utilities, Arch's community repository remains broader. The package manager itself is more conservative than Arch's. It handles complex package transitions more gracefully, but feels slower and more enterprise-oriented in daily use. Some users reported that updates stopped arriving entirely from December 2024 into February 2025. The package manager and repository configuration appeared to lose connection with the main sources without producing an obvious error. A rolling release that silently stops rolling is a different kind of failure from one that breaks visibly. Tumbleweed is the rolling release distribution for someone who wants current software without becoming an expert recovery technician. The automated testing pipeline prevents the worst regressions from reaching users. The file system snapshots catch the ones that get through. The administration toolkit makes system management accessible without removing control. The default desktop is well maintained and ready to use after installation. It is not the right distribution for someone who wants the broadest possible package selection because Arch's community repository is wider. It is not the right distribution for someone who wants reproducible declarative system management because NixOS does that and Tumbleweed does not. It is not the right distribution for someone who wants to understand every component of their system by building it from nothing, because that is what Arch is for. Tumbleweed occupies a space that neither NixOS nor Arch attempts to fill. Current software that has been tested before it reaches you, with a recovery mechanism that works from a boot menu rather than a separate drive. An immutable variant exists for users who want even stronger system protection, where the operating system updates as a single transaction and applications run in containers. A rolling release with guardrails. The guardrails are not perfect. 2024 proved that. But a distribution where the worst case is selecting a previous snapshot from a menu is a fundamentally different proposition from one where the worst case is booting a separate drive and rebuilding the bootloader by hand.